Welcome to Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater. Issues and Answers is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. And now, Issues and Answers with your host, Diane Kinderwater.
Welcome to Issues and Answers. I'm Diane Kinderwater. It's another political season. It seems like we're always into a political season here in New Mexico and across the United States. But again, we are so fortunate to be able to be voters, to register to vote, and to have our voices heard in this democracy. And again, just think about it. We see the news, how other countries, South America, Africa, all these other places in the world don't have our choice, don't have the choices that we have here. Another new choice we're going to have soon, or now, is the new New Mexico Forward Party. We've heard about the Democratic Party, the Democrats, the Republican. We've heard of the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, Reform Party. Now there is the New Mexico Forward Party, and it's a forward party across the United States. I think it's been around for about 4 years nationwide, and here in New Mexico for about a year. We're going to talk today to the state chair of the Forward Party, Representative Bob Perls. He served in our state legislature, and he's done so much more. We had him on another program talking about open primaries, and that's one of the principles, one of the democracy reforms part of the Forward Party. We're going to find out more about what the heck is the Forward Party when we talk to Representative Bob Perls right after this. Stay with us. Democracy, we're all proud to be able to live in the greatest nation in the world, but it takes an effort. It takes us to be a part of it. It's not just somebody else, it's us. Minimally, we have to vote. Of course, maybe prior to that, we have to pay our taxes. Are you paying your taxes? We all have to pay taxes. We know we pay a lot of taxes. Well, that taxes is for government that affects our lives. And in the past, we've had mainly the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. But now there's a new party in town, the New Mexico Forward Party, and the state chair of that party is former Representative Bob Perls, who was in the state legislature from the mid to late 1990s and done so much more. But now, in addition to all you've done, you're very interested in politics, and you're very interested in the state of New Mexico, in our country, and you believe this is going to be a solution for many of us.
I do. Thank you, Diane, for having me here. I enjoyed our previous show where we talked about the fact that New Mexico finally passed open elections, which allow independent voters to vote in partisan primaries. It's so important for a functioning democracy to have as many people as possible voting, and yet we had excluded 25% of New Mexicans from being able to vote. That's 330,000 people excluded from publicly financed public elections. So now that we accomplished that big step.
And that was the open primaries. They weren't allowed if they weren't registered as a Republican or a Democrat. Or if they were registered as an independent, they had no choice, no voice in our primaries. But that's changing in 2026, thanks to the work that you've done in the legislature to change that after 10 years of effort.
Well, thank you. It was 10 years of a collaborative effort with hundreds of volunteers, hundreds of donors, the last 2 years, some great paid staff, and now we've got this great breakthrough. So since I helped accomplish that, and we did that in March and April of 2025, I transitioned my volunteer time over to founding the Forward Party. And the Forward Party was founded originally about 4 years ago nationally by some Republicans, some Democrats, some Libertarians. Andrew Yang, for example, ran as a Democrat for president in 2020. He had the Yang Gang. He was known for loving math and coming up with some out-of-the-box creative ideas. And then former New Jersey Governor Christy Todd Whitman, Republican, was one of the big national founders. In fact, she was in New Mexico with me, kicking off the New Mexico launch of the New Mexico chapter of the Forward Party about 5-6 months ago now. Lieutenant Governor Carrie Healy was Lieutenant Governor, a Republican under Mitt Romney when he was governor of Massachusetts. She was also one of the big national founders of the Forward Party. So the Forward Party is literally about trying to move this country forward in a, for lack of a better word, a nonpartisan way. We're kind of an unparty party. We're kind of the party that's going to be the bastion for independent voters, for Democrats and Republicans who are frustrated in the direction both of the major parties have gone, and hopefully will reinvigorate a lot of people who have checked out from politics completely, because they see politics as people mostly fighting. Mostly the two major parties fighting each other, calling each other evil, calling each other awful names, and not really governing and not really solving problems. And so the Forward Party, we think, is going to be a mainstream party, appealing to 85% of New Mexican and American voters who want common sense solutions to complex problems, data-driven solutions, not just, well, we're going to try this because for 40 years we've tried it, which frankly is what both parties are very involved with.
But you don't have a label. I mean, there's a platform nationally. There's some priorities here, and the candidates decide. But you don't. Are you middle of the road? I mean, you're not conservative. You're not Republican, or you're not liberal.
Yeah.
What are you? What are you?
Yeah, it's a little hard to describe, and that's why our branding really is around several things. It's around democracy building efforts like open primaries, like ranked choice voting, like independent redistricting commissions and term limits. It's all of these not very sexy issues that are called process issues that need to happen. We need to fundamentally change the way we elect, district, and finance candidates so that we create an ecosystem that forces candidates to reach out to all voters, not just the narrow slivers of the far right and the far left that show up in partisan primaries, and create a system that rewards compromise and rewards coalition building. Nowadays, if you get elected to the state legislature, or God forbid to Congress, and you talk about bipartisan efforts and bipartisan support, and if you're a Democrat, having good friends across the aisle, that's how it used to be. It's not that way anymore. We have everybody from president to U.S. senators to Congress people to state reps who are vilifying the other side. 99% of Americans are really good people. 99% of Americans right now are mostly registered as a Democrat or Republican. So there's this disconnect caused by the media, by the social media, by the special interest groups that fund people. They're really incentivized to drive a wedge between Americans and New Mexicans. And we've got this politics industry, for lack of a better word, this multi-billion-dollar politics industry that's incentive-driven to drive us apart. And so the Forward Party is trying to pull us together, create dialogues, create common sense, values, not create, but recognize that we all have very much common values and can come together 8 out of 10 times and agree on sensible education solutions, immigration policy, tax policy.
Can we find some of these policies online somewhere?
Well, let me describe that. I mean, I can use different examples of my own personal belief system, but the Forward Party nationally lays down a set of principles, broad principles, like these democracy reform efforts, like obeying and upholding the rule of law and obeying the Constitution, which seems ironic, but that's not happening in the last several election cycles. Using data-driven solutions, as I said earlier. So these are broad principles. We have a fundamental belief in entrepreneurship. So there's these broad principles nationally. And then at the state level, like the New Mexico Forward Party, we're laying down priorities. And so we're prioritizing what's important to New Mexico, because it could be different than what's important to California, Florida, or Illinois. So it's a bottom-up solution rather than the two major parties that are top-down solutions. So our priorities focus on children's issues, on education and solving that complex conundrum, on climate and energy issues and how you solve energy independence while being respectful of climate change. But the actual hardcore solutions and policy recommendations, we want to leave to candidates. And we're actively recruiting candidates for 2026.
Leave them to candidates.
Yes, because we don't have a litmus test issue. You don't have to be pro-choice or pro-life. You don't have to be pro-union, anti-union. You don't have to be, pro-gas and oil and pure pro-renewables. We don't have litmus test issues. By and large, we're probably going to appeal to candidates who are more centrist and more moderate, but that's not necessarily true, because nowadays we can't even figure out anymore who's liberal, who's conservative. You know, Republicans and conservatives used to be the free trade party. Well, now they're the protectionist party. And now the Democrats, who used to be protectionists, seem to be a little bit more free trade. And now everybody from President Trump to Bernie Sanders are for tariffs and protectionist policy and against competition. And yet the average American understands that tariffs, for example, are taxes. And most of us are against more taxes, so we should be against tariffs. So there's all this complexity in the political landscape, and so we think voters are going to be attracted to the Forward Party because they want solutions, they want compromise, they want government to solve problems, they want child care taken care of, health care taken care of, a good public school system that can actually educate kids. Now, whether that's all run by government or some private-public partnerships or privatized, those are the policy discussions that we want to have. I think the last thing, and then I'll shut up for a sec, is both major parties don't even consider really good policy solutions because their core, hardcore base oppose those practical solutions. So it's not just that we're going to be picking a good Democratic solution or a good Republican solution to complex problems. We're going to be coming up with new solutions, data-driven solutions, researched solutions, scientifically based solutions that neither party are even kicking around right now.
Where are those solutions now?
They're being discussed, but neither party is picking them up. One of my favorite examples, and hopefully I won't get myself in trouble, this is not a Forward Party platform. This is a Bob Perls idea where, for example, if I were running for governor, this is how I would talk about, and I'm not running for governor, this is how I would talk about education. As a state rep, I passed the Charter School Act, the original Charter School Act in New Mexico.
Wow.
Thank you. And my wife and I co-founded Public Academy for Performing Arts, which is a charter school still going strong after 23 years. Very proud of that. I'm a big supporter of charter schools. How do we solve the education problem? We're spending more per student than almost any state in the nation, and yet our student outcomes, our student performance is very bad. So I'm going to throw out a solution that neither party will support. The Democrats won't support what I'm going to talk about because the teachers' unions don't like it, and the Republicans won't support it because the Republicans don't want to put more money into public schools. They largely want a voucher system to put public funds into private schools, which we think is a violation of church and state, and we can talk more about that. So what I would do is I'd pay teachers $100,000 a year minimum. I'd counsel the lowest third performing teachers out of the profession. If you have a master's degree or higher, you're able to teach without jumping through a 1 to 4 year series of hoops. I have a master's degree and I can't go and teach high school political science, even though I'm pretty much an expert in that area. I think that's wrong. I would probably either close down colleges of education that have become kind of the receptacle of the lowest performing university students, and either completely re-engineer how we train teachers or simply have people who are experts in their field teach kids. Mm-hmm. And maybe have some hours in what's called pedagogy, teaching technique, but I would radically change all of that. And the last thing I would do is every school would be a charter school. It would be site-based management run by parents and teachers. In high school, also older students. It's called a governing council. I was president of the first PAPA governing council, so I know how that works, and it works well. And then you eliminate all the money waste, all the bureaucracy waste in all of these school districts that are generally run by elected folks who don't have an education background anyway. So that's an example of a solution that's not explicitly endorsed by the Forward Party, but it would be
an example.
But it's an example of how we can pick and choose pieces that traditional Republicans and Democrats would like and that they would hate, but that actually could finally move the needle on student performance.
Move it forward.
Move it forward.
Will there be candidates in the upcoming primary in 2025, 2026?
2026.
June of 2026.
Not in the primary, but in the general, because Forward is so new that we won't have our own primary. So let me tell the viewers how we're going to become a new political party. We have to collect 3,500 signatures, which means in essence we need 5,000 signatures from registered voters in New Mexico, any flavor. If you're Democrat, Republican, you can sign our petition so that we become a recognized new political party in New Mexico. Then once that happens, we can run candidates on the Forward Party ballot. So you'll walk in the general election, November of 2026, and you'll see Republicans, Greens, Democrats, Libertarians, forwardists, as we call ourselves, Forward Party candidates. We're targeting state house races mainly, but we'll probably have some county commission candidates. We might have a gubernatorial candidate, but that's a reach for us because we're so new. So that's the plan. And if people want to get involved, we have a great website, nmforwardparty.org. Help us collect signatures. You can download our petition, which looks like this, and help us collect signatures.
And what's the advantage to New Mexicans who maybe are registered as a Democrat now or a Republican now? Why would they want to help form another party?
Because competition is good. Because we have more choices in cereal and ice cream than we do candidates. And that's not right. I mean, let's face it, 80% of elections in the general election have no competition. If you tune in on election night and you listen to KANW or you listen to any of the local stations covering elections, what do? They focus on like 5 races because the other 80 races were decided in the primary.
There's no competition.
And that's why it's important to have open primaries, by the way, because people need to vote in the primary where most of the decisions are made. So the reason why Democrats and Republicans should sign our petition, even if you're not going to want to vote for a Forward Party candidate, which I think you will want to, you still want to have choices. And maybe you're what's called like a country club Republican, but you're not nuts about necessarily the entire MAGA agenda. Maybe there's a Forward Party candidate running against a MAGA candidate in San Juan County who's a little bit more centrist, a little bit more moderate, a little bit more open to different ideas and views, willing to compromise. Maybe you'll like that candidate. Or if you live in the UNM area and you're not always aligned with the progressive agenda right down the line, and there's a Forward Party candidate who might be suggesting the education solution I just laid out, maybe you'll vote for that Forward Party candidate, but you'll stay registered as a Democrat.
And it's here. It's here. The Reform Party, we recall Ross Perot from Texas ran for president in, was that early 90s maybe?
Yeah, it was 93 and 90, it was 92 and 96.
He garnered a lot of attention. Of course, he was a millionaire and helped sponsor his campaign with his oil millions. With the Reform Party, it was there, kind of drove a lot of excitement for the same reasons. Extremists from one side, the other may not want the other parties, maybe more centrist. But what happened to that party? Yeah,
Ross Perot hit about 19% in his presidential race, and that's about as high as any non-major party has gotten. We think we're at a tipping point right now because of how nasty politics has gotten and how polarized our conversations have become. We think people are crying out for an alternative, whether that alternative was called the Reform Party, the Forward Party, or an independent voter alliance party, whatever it is. We think the Forward Party is that receptacle for independent voters, disenfranchised Republican, Democratic voters, and anybody else who doesn't like the tone and the agenda of the two major parties. Maybe you like bits and pieces of it, but maybe you want a party and an organization, and most importantly, candidates who are going to listen to you and truly pass policy that you like, that you're interested in, and that could form a consensus between you and your neighbors, not just this very narrow, highly partisan agenda that permeates politics in America.
Since the Forward Party was organized 4 years ago, did we have any national candidates or other state candidates?
We have the Forward Party in 2024 endorsed over 500 candidates nationally. They did not run a presidential candidate because the national leaders didn't want to be a spoiler, because most of our national leaders honestly did not want Trump reelected. That sounds very partisan to say. I want to be clear. I support, and people in the Forward Party support and embrace Republican voters and Republican supporters. But we think there's a big gulf between lots of Republican supporters and voters and sort of the firebrand MAGA agenda that doesn't seem to want to build consensus with really anybody except their hardcore followers. And so what the Forward Party did in 2024 was they endorsed and were successful in running lower level races like county commission races, school board races. We had, for example, in Utah, a Republican state senator switch his party registration to Forward because Forward's a recognized party in the state of Utah. So he is an example of a four-corner state that has an elected state senator who is a Forward Party state senator. But I don't want to overstate it. We're just getting going. And we think 2026 is going to be transformational nationally, where we are going to elect, I think, in New Mexico, at least one or two state rep Forward Party candidates.
But you're open to other candidates as county commissioners, other positions as well.
We are. We're open to recruiting Forward Party candidates in other positions. And importantly, off air, you were commenting to me that how nice it was that we were also going to endorse Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Independent, Green candidates if they align with our principles of wanting to work together and democracy building and data-driven solutions and entrepreneurship.
So that's a big job as well.
It is.
Will you have a convention, state convention?
We will in the future. We hope to get that organized in the 2026 election cycle. We're not required to under state law as a minor party. To go from a minor party to a major party, this is really inside baseball, but to go from a minor to a major party in New Mexico, the governor, you have to have a gubernatorial candidate or a presidential candidate hit 5% in New Mexico. We may or may not do that this election cycle. So until we become a major party, we're not required to hold a big convention. If we do, we'll probably be innovative and do it online so that it's easy to get to and accessible and available to everybody. Have their participation, nominate candidates who will then run in November of 2026.
So how will you nominate your state reps? You're looking for state reps to run. How will you nominate them for 2026?
They will have to go through whatever the ballot access requirements are for minor parties. So for example...
But I mean, does the party choose them, or can anybody say...
No, anybody can.
They can run as a Reform Party...
As a Forward Party candidate.
Party candidate without any endorsement of the party.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not going to be in the business of saying who can't run. Now, we might not endorse somebody if we think they're not credible, but we're not going to say you can't run. But frankly, the major parties can't exclude anybody either. I mean, when I ran as a Democrat for a state legislature, I didn't get the Democrat Party blessing. I ran against people who were the Democratic insiders. I was always a very independent, maverick Democrat. So that's really true with all the parties.
But how many signatures would they need?
It depends on the district they're running for, but typically it's in the 100 to 200 range for a state rep. It's much higher for a statewide office. It's in the 7, 8, 9, 10,000 range signatures to get on the ballot to run for governor, for example.
Fantastic. Anything else you'd like to share about the Forward Party?
Yeah, get involved, get engaged. If you're even halfway interested in what we've been talking about today, please go to nmforwardparty.org. Check out us, what we're doing on all social media platforms. Look at forwardparty.org national website to get a better sense of what we're doing. Come to some of our local gatherings, help us collect petition signatures, and if you've never thought about running for office because you don't fit precisely in the two major parties, think about running as a Forward Party candidate.
And let's see if this QR code registers.
Yeah, that would be an easy way to
find out more.
Click on there.
Click on more, but then again, you can just look it up online as well. And what was the website again?
nmforwardparty.org.
Okay, info, and then also info@nmforwardparty.org. And it says, let's reboot democracy.
Let's reboot democracy, not left, not right, forward.
Forward. Oh, that's great. Thank you, Representative Bob Perls.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being a part of this program, and we invite you back in the future. And best of luck to you and the Forward Party, and again, moving New Mexico forward.
That's the key. Thank you, Diane.
Okay. Thanks you for watching the show, and to KCHF TV for bringing you Issues and Answers, a whole half hour of information that affects your life. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. To comment on today's program, email us at info@kchftv.org or call us at 505-345-1991. Join us again for Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater.